It's Omega Wave Show. I'm your co-host, Bill Shields. Craig Locicero is not with us this week because our guest didn't want to talk to him. So, the one and only singer for Spiral Arms, Tim Narducci, formerly of Systematic. I said nice things in the first tape, and I'll say it a little later into the show. We're going to get to Tim right now because Tim's a busy man. So, Tim, let's start at the beginning. Once again, where you got your start in the music business at and how that transformed into Systematic.
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. I was telling you a little bit earlier, I grew up in a very musical family. I pretty much went to, I learned the ropes from my father. I played in his bands, I think starting at like 10 years old, 11 years old, playing guitar in his band, and kind of, learned my schooling through him, and, graduated up into playing the early metal scene that's actually where I met Craig, when I was about 15, playing Ruthie's Inn, with my old band, Tyrannicide, and, Craig's band, which was Forbidden Evil at the time, which is now Forbidden. Met him, met Craig, and, just kept doing the thing, and, eventually I started a band called, Systematic back in 97, I think, I think about the first time that we got together and played. And from there, it kind of took off, and we got our first crack at the major labels in '99, early 2000. And it's kind of a interesting story, but we had made a recording. I don't know, it was like a 7-song demo or something like that, and it ended up over at the plant in Sausalito where Metallica was working on the S&M record, the symphony record that they had done, doing overdubs or whatever they were doing. And Lars got a hold of it, got a hold of us, his A&R guy got a hold of us, and it all happened real quick, man. So I think the band was probably together maybe 2.5, 3 years, and then we got picked up and signed, and next thing we knew, we were out on tour with, doing Ozfest and doing opening for Godsmack and Stained and Disturbed and you name it. It was a wild ride. It happened quick, and that basically, from that point on, I decided I didn't want to go back into doing what I did for a living, which was the car industry. No disrespect to it, but I figured out this was my calling, so to speak, and I kind of moved on into producing and doing studio work along with playing music.
Now,
so that kind of puts me where I'm at now,
So, now, one of the things that people may or may not know is Systematic was one of the few, if not the only band that Lars signed to his label. Is that right?
There were 4 bands. There was, let me try and remember them. There was a band called Gowdy out of Texas, which was kind of cool, kind of like a Radiohead kind of vibe. The first band I think they signed was a Canadian band. Trying to remember them, not off the top of my head. And then the one band after us was a band called Brand New Immortals, and it was the bass player from it was Johnny Colt from Black Crowes was in that band.
Ah.
And but we were the one band that did the best for his label as far as record sales went, and notoriety and stuff like that. I think it was just because of the connection with Metallica, and we kind of fit the mold with that. So I think it was easy for those people to, latch on to us. There were four acts, I believe, before he closed up shop.
And so, now, I know a lot of people have heard the Systematic stuff or had seen you guys opening, like you said, all the various artists in the Ozfest. Now, to go from that, and Craig's, we all have heard Forbidden, of course, or they probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast. To go from that to Spiral Arms, who is a totally, totally different animal than those other two bands. Were you setting out to do something different? What happened at the end of Systematic that led you to Spiral, and the so radical change in just direction?
Well, a lot of it for me was it was musical growth in the sense that trying to make the song a little bit more simple, come from a different place. I don't know, kind of a less is more kind of approach. But I think the thing that really got me inspired was the Man Made God record. Once our management company managed them at the same time, so I was able to get advanced copies of that before it was mixed. Cough, cough. So, and I fell in love with it. I was just like, oh man, what these guys are doing is just so cool, it's so different. It's taking a chance. It's going back to roots. It's kind of saying, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, it inspired me to go and explore more of a rock direction, writing-wise, and explore bands like the Beatles, and, just kind of open your mind and try different stuff. And that's really when it began. My Systematic closed up shop in 2004, and that was right around the same time when, singer from Man Made God had left, Pan, who is, by the way, an outstanding singer. Love his voice. And Craig and I met up, with the guys, and it kind of took off from there, and we just started just playing music that we wanted to hear, and didn't really give a shit, and just said, you know what, I have an idea for a song, and the term that we like to use was, follow the bell, which came from our good friend Eric Kretz from Stone Temple Pilots. That was always kind of, their motto, and it was another huge influence. So we just wanted to go down that path, man, and I think that's what's kind of made us a little bit more unique. Not always palatable to everybody, but the people that get it, they get it, and that's where we're happy.
And it's a really great project, and I've been being friends with Craig and all for several years. I've heard various incarnations of Spiral Arms, with you and Craig being pretty much the most constant. And they've all been great, but now it seems like you guys are really, really hitting your stride. Do you think tell us about the current lineup of Spiral, and your own little thoughts on the guys and working with them.
Well, let's see. The current lineup is obviously Craig and myself, and Cornbread on bass, Ron Radine on drums. My little brother Greg is playing guitar with us now, and to round out the keyboards is Mr. Brad Barth, which I share the studio with, and this is what we do for our day gig. But long or the short of it, this lineup I think is, I think everything came together and is coming together, and now everything feels right because I don't know. I just think we're all coming from the same place now. I think before everybody kind of had maybe a little different vision, of where the band, what we should sound like. I get references to like Boomtown Rats or just off the wall stuff that I don't know. I don't think it was that focused. I don't think that But again, in Spiral Arms fashion, which I'm glad we went through that. We had to go through that to get to where we're at now. And I think where we are now, it's helped us become more focused and visionary with the sound that we want to give people. And I think it's a heavier sound. I think it's a more, I don't know, it's bluesier, it's dirtier, and it's more, it's just where we want to be, and I think the guys involved all totally get that. They realize that, we all contribute to the band and all bring something to make the sound that is Spiral Arms, but you have to start with, an idea and a vision. And those guys have been so great in backing me on that and letting me bring in songs and just go, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I'm thinking, this is where we should go with this. And everybody gets behind me and helps fill out that vision and is very supportive. And it's so friggin' hard these days to get everybody on the same page like that. A lot of the time, everybody wants to be the quarterback and, call the plays. But I think for a band to really see its way through and really see, a clear vision, it's good to have one guy kind of visualize it and then the rest contribute to it. And these guys have all been fantastic. I mean, everybody knows Craig's an amazing guitar player, and just all the guys are top notch, man. They're all top tier players, and they get it. And I think that's why it works.
You know, that was one of the things that I really, I won't say was surprised by, but I thoroughly enjoyed was your little brother Greg is an amazing guitarist in his own right. I mean, you got such a twin attack there that it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, you know what's cool is that, you know, when we entertained the thought of bringing, what happened was his band broke up and he went through some life stuff, and I said, you know what, fuck those guys, come and play with my band, you know what I mean? And he came over, and the coolest thing about it is there's something special about bands that have brothers in it. I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger on it, but those are some of the more, I don't know, there's some sort of connection. And the great thing about it with Greg is he and I play guitar, you know, we're very, very similar in the way that we, you know, our rhythm styles and stuff like that. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go, all right, we'll just have him play it, and then I can stretch out on the vocals, you know, and know that nothing's going to get missed and that he's going to kick ass on it. But he's great, man. He's a great player, great dude. And that's the other thing, man, is this band, everybody, it's a brotherhood. You know, everybody gets along, everybody cares about each other, you know, and that's hard to find too, you know, but I think that translates, I think very heavily in our sound. So maybe that's where the brotherhood thing comes from. I don't know.
Well, you know, I agree because, you know, after spending 3 solid days with you guys, there is definitely a camaraderie and a brotherhood with this band that you just don't see anymore. You know, it's, you know...
You really don't. Go ahead.
You know, I got to the point where I was believing the whole, you know, band camaraderie thing was a bunch of bullshit. You know, it just didn't happen anymore.
Right.
You know, it's all just, you know, put together by the record company and whatnot. But Spirals definitely has a brotherhood to it.
Right. It does, man, and I think that's what makes the band special. I really do. You know, I've played in other situations where, you know, people don't get along. You know, they don't see eye to eye, and you're just kind of go, yeah, well, fuck you, you know. And there's not really that. I don't know. It's just a different level of respect. You know what I mean? And you know, my other projects I do, I'm doing a ZZ Top tribute with Cornbread and Ron. You know what I mean? Because it's just so, it's a no-brainer. You know the guys are going to be there. You know they're going to show up on time. You know they're going to kick ass for you, and it's great. You know, so yeah, they rule.
They really do. And Cornbread, hell of a human being. I mean, I love Cornbread. I love the entire band. I mean, it was 3 of the greatest days I've ever had in my life, getting to hang out with you guys for that time.
I appreciate that.
And you know, Cornbread just vocally, sonically. I mean, he's the only guy I've ever seen break a fucking bass string on stage.
He's an animal, man.
He is. And, you know, the way you got...
He's probably the loudest bass player you've seen, too.
He is.
Right?
And, you know, and I cannot overlook the contribution that Brad brings to the band as well. I mean, it wasn't for Brad, I don't think it would have that just full fucking sound that you guys are managing to produce. He is something else.
Well, yeah, completely. And, you know, and he gets it, man. It's not, he comes from that same, you know, that same rock that we listen to where, you know, the piano has a space, it has a you know, it does have a clear spot for it, and it can be heavy, and it can be cool. You know what I mean? And he gets that, which is awesome. Completely awesome.
You know, and Ron's an amazing drummer. On the subject of, you know, one of the songs that you guys are playing in your live set is a new one, Exit 63.
Yeah.
That his piano work is just astounding in. Tell us a little bit about that song. I mean, I'm choking to death in the studio here is what I am.
That's the water, man.
Yeah, so, anyways, Exit 63, it's going to be on the upcoming album, March, April, somewhere in there.
Yes.
So, the song's just got a huge vibe to it. Um, can you give us a little preview lyrically? What was going on?
Yeah, well, a lot of it with that tune, where I live in California, you have to, basically my commute to the recording studio that I pretty much hear 7 days a week, but, my commute, I drive by, Altamont, which was obvious where they had, the Rolling Stones and the big Hells Angel debacle and, so I drive by this venue every day, and I don't know if so many people really pay attention to the history that went down over there, but that was kind of what killed the whole free love movement. And to me, I'm like, man, that would be kind of cool to write a song about that. I drive by this exit. It's called Exit 63. That's when you take off to get over to the venue, and I'm like, yeah, cool song title, working, whatever. And then I just really got into this whole movement of like, one of the lyrics is, in the chorus is, love is so blind, run for your life. You know what I mean? And that's part of it. It's like, you can take it a few different ways, but it really boils down to just like how, I get free love, and the hippie thing was kind of tongue in cheek at times, but I don't know. I just think, with the way humanity is too, I think that sends a message. That rather than people being communal and sharing and whatever and whatnot, we become more selfish and obsessed with ourselves and obsessed with, fucking Facebook and those things in life. You know what I mean? Rather than helping somebody. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but there's a good portion of us that are, and I think that ties in with the song. Even though I'm kind of relating back to a moment in time that was history, but history repeats itself, so I don't know. I thought it was relevant. I think it's a cool song, and I'm thinking people will dig it, and there you go.
That's one of my two favorite songs off the upcoming album. That was one of the highlights of the sets for me, is to get to see that in Black Moon Morning, which we'll get into in a little bit. I'm going to jump back to Highest Society now. And, one of the things we do here on the show is talk to lyricists about where they were and what, spurred on some of their songs. And Highest Society, which I'm holding up in my hand right now, which you can get through Amazon. You can go to spiralarms.com. If you order it through Nuclear Blast Europe, not only do you get a cool-ass poster of the album cover, you also get a lyric sheet on the backside as well. So,
yeah, that's the one you want. You want the European version. I think our pressing of it is almost, I think it's gone. So I think you do have to go through Nuclear Blast and the Amazons of the world, because they have that European pressing.
I sold the last 5 in Reno. I know.
I know you did. That's right. That was right. That was gas money home, man. Thank you.
Oh, dude, it was my pleasure. So we're going to hit you about some of the songs on here. One of the feelings that I get over Highest Society, there's a whole sense of letting go lyrically, at least in my opinion, to this album. How wrong am I?
You're right on the money, man. You're right on the money. That record really was a stamp in time for me, where I had a lot of loss in my life. We lost my uncle passed. I think it was in '09, and we also lost my gal that I've been with for going on 14 years. Her mom passed away, and it was just really kind of fucked me up. It was a tough going through, a very tough process. Losing 2 family members, to such things like cancer and hepatitis C, and just fucked up, man. Taking my mother-in-law basically off of life support, and watching somebody like physically pass is probably one of the heaviest things I've ever been through in my life. And for me, that record's a lot of about letting go, and I think you really nailed that on the head.
Well, later on, which I find it ironic, it's the opening track.
Yeah,
and it's about I'll see you later on. Um, where were you when you wrote that one? What was the impetus for it?
Well, that was basically written for my uncle. That had passed away from cancer. He was like 61, way too young. But the thought behind that song is some of it's what you believe in. I mean, do you believe is there life after this life? Is there what do you believe? And then you feel like if there isn't, it can kind of get lonely and it's dark. And I think a lot of it with that lyric, you got to believe in something. I think that says something. Just even like struggle through, humanity. And then the song kind of turns into later on, like, yeah, man, if I live after this, we pass over, I'll see you, man. We'll catch up. Later on down the road. And that's what that song's about. It tackles a few different topics, but a lot of it has to do with belief, and what you believe in, and it takes a strong person to, really believe in stuff and hold on to that, So, a little inner struggle in there. I mean, I think you kind of catch wind of that in the lyric too, but yeah, I mean, that kind of rounds that one out.
Well, and that's one of the big discussions we had in, I think it was Tahoe, about organized religion. And, our listeners know my opinion on it. Do you have an opinion on organized religion, Tim?
Oh, I do. We sat and talked about it for about 45 minutes over beers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Brought up in, my mom's side of the family is all Mormon. My dad's side of the family is Catholic. We were raised as kids to, through the Mormon church and whatnot. And, there's aspects of the religion that I do like, in the fact that there's, family's very important, and I think that that's important. The inner structure of a family. But I also think there's a bit of hubbub in it too. So I do think there's a good quality and a bad quality, but my really, really strong belief on organized religion is I think it divides people more than it puts people together. I think that, I can get into a discussion with my family and they'll get upset at me and I'll get upset at them. So there's a perfect example, of what it can and can't do. People kill each other over it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess it's all how you want to spin it and look at it. But I'm not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of organized religion.
No,
I'm a big fan of family, and I'm a big fan of friends, and a big fan of love. That's what I'm a fan of.
No, organized religion is a tool of control and oppression and a great divider. We had this conversation in Reno, and I wanted to kind of rebroach it again because religion's been such a hot topic, and especially this time of year. And
sure.
it irritates me. When people get pissed off because we don't say Merry Christmas anymore, it's Happy Holidays. But, it's a pagan fucking ritual that we put over, merged with Christianity to give some, the winter solace a holiday. Come on. Fuck.
Right. Well, it's really all about, it's all really about merchandising and money, I think. I think people completely, it just cracks me up. People are like, oh, I got to get my shopping done. It's like, well, why don't you just invite your friends over and have, like, see some friends you haven't seen in, like, 5 fucking years, rather than worrying about what you're going to buy somebody for their gift. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with giving things to people that you love, but when there's a precedent on it and a timeline, oh, get your shopping done, it's like, okay, it's a bunch of crap.
It is. One of my favorite songs, probably, like right top 2 off the album, is Live Another Day. You got to tell me the story on that one, because, I mean, what I draw from it and what you probably meant are probably different.
Okay.
But it's, like I said, it's one of my favorite songs off the album.
Thank Well, that song was written. That was probably the first song that was written for Highest Society. It was a little bump in the road for the band at one point in time. We had a different lineup, and we were kind of at odds with each other. I won't say who, but there was a tough road. There was a tough patch we were going through. When we all go off and do other things, there has to be an understanding that we're going to come back to this. This is our baby. I could see us growing older and doing this for till we kick it pretty much. I think this band can have that longevity to it. And for me, Live Another Day was written about starting the band, giving it new life. Give me back my gun. And that lyric, I think that's so powerful. A true believer's never done. You know what I mean? That song was about kicking the band in the ass again. Like, hey, you know what, man? Let's put all this crap beside us. Let's move forward. This is what we love to do, and let's do it. And that's where that song was inspired from, and I think a lot of the lyric ties into that too.
I love that lyric, by the way. That's one of the things that sets it off, is the true believer is never done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just, there was a particular influence, I think, that wanted to see the band done and over with, and I'm thinking to myself, no, fuck that. I'm the other 50% of that put this together, and the other 50% wanted to keep going with it too, so, let's go. I'm not done with it. I still believe in it. So I think that lyric holds tons of water. It holds tons of truth, and it's a good mantra.
It really is. Dirty Bomb.
Yes. Oh boy, that song, and what was the other one that's on there? I got it all wrong. Were actually two of the very first songs I think we wrote as a band. And that was part of the idea of putting those songs on the record, was that this band was, those were early first songs that we had done. Let's let them see the light of day. This is kind of the rebirth of the band, if you will. We're pushing forward, so we kind of felt it would be neat to put those songs on there. And Dirty Bomb, that was actually a lyric that Craig had started. So you probably want to ask him where that came from. But I think the idea of the song is, your affiliations and associations with people that drop into a room like a dirty bomb. I think it kind of like says it all, right?
Oh yeah.
Like somebody is a kind of a piece of shit in your life that you're a dirty bomb. And I think that's really how deep that song goes. It's dropping like a dirty bomb.
Oh yeah. And I really should have brought this one up after the whole religious discussion, but Shake Down the Preacher, which I just love the line in that one as well.
Right. Well, that's kind of the same concept. It's just take a look around you, man. A lot of people walk with with blinders on, and just look at what's going on and pay attention to it and acknowledge it and have a voice about it. You know what I mean? Ignoring the fact that, you have these priests taking advantage of these kids. I mean, it's fucked. I mean, how do they get away with that? I mean, how does that go down like that? That blows my mind. Look at I mean, you just go through the lyrics, man, and I think it just all kind of lays it out there that, these are things that piss me off, and can't turn a blind eye, man. You know what I mean? You have to acknowledge it.
Oh, yeah. And you should shake down the preacher and smoke all of his dope, because that is an awesome lyric.
I'm sure I'm sure they're out there looking at porn and doing drugs and then telling you that it's not okay to do it, It's just, let's wake up. That's all. Let's wake up.
Another one of the songs, at least in my opinion, that definitely goes back to the theory of loss is All That You Seek. What inspired that one? That
was the passing of my mother-in-law. I had written that. I was writing that as she was in the hospital, and that song just, that's completely about that experience. And, you know, the lyric in the chorus or the pre-chorus, you know, I don't know if you've experienced it. I'm sure your listeners, there's people out there that have had to, you know, go through that process of having to take somebody off of life support or loss like that. You know what I mean? It's so heavy, but at the same time, when we took Linda off of life support, the whole family was there with her. You know, immediate family. I was there with them, and there was a beauty to that in a sense. You know, I remember my girl, you know, saying, "Hey, you know," I was asking her if she was okay being in there, and you know, she's like, "Well, you know, my mom brought me into this world. I can be with her as she goes out," and that was so fucking heavy and beautiful at the same time. You know, that found its way into the song pretty much. You know, love flowing down, up and around all over here. That was that moment. I mean, that was just captured that moment being in that hospital and you know, dealing with that. But that song's pretty heavy lyrically. It definitely that was the one thing about this record when it was written, is I wanted to be so out and up front with my feelings as a writer that people, you know what I mean? A lot of people guard themselves with their lyrics, and I didn't want to be that way with this record. I wanted to just lay it all out there, like, this is how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? And like it, love it, hate it, whatever. You know, there it is. I got it out. I got it off my chest. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that was a huge exercise, and you know, I mean, that's part of music is therapy. You know, but yeah, that tune in particular, that was that whole experience, and yeah, so.
Wow. Yeah, and I've been through that experience. I sat there and watched my dad die. I mean, they sent him home to die. I drove in from Idaho to Missouri 24 straight hours, and me and my sisters gathered and sat with him through his final 24 hours of life and in and out until he was just gone. And it just gets fucking heavier every time I've done it. I've done it with an aunt and my wife's aunt and our uncle when it came to my dad, and then my mom 2 years later. It's a heavy, heavy fucking experience. And I really think All That You Seek pretty much encapsulates a lot of the feelings that go through during that time as an observer. Right.
Well, I'm glad I was able to convey it correctly. Sometimes that can be a challenge, but no, I'm glad you got that, you know. And I think a lot of it too, which is really heavy that we deal with as we deal with these things, is you're just realizing your mortality. You know what I mean? You're realizing, like, hey man, we aren't going to fucking be here forever. You know, time in life is short. I mean, but it's a wake up call, and it's a good thing too, because it helps you realize that you got to take every day not for granted. You know what I mean? And live your life and live your, you know, go for it, man. Live your fucking life. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
take chances, man. Don't be afraid. You know what I mean? And that kicks you in the ass too. So I think all of it's encompassing, having to go through that experience. But yeah. So.
Blood and Wine.
Yes.
What was the motivate? I mean, that one I don't get a real sense of loss with that one, but I get a sense of really being pissed off at somebody when you wrote that.
I think I was really stoned when I wrote that. That song's just kind of my more of my guilty pleasure of a way with words, and it's, you know, it's got some weight to it, you know, but it's not a super heavy specific tune, you know, like All That You Seek or Later On or Live Another Day. It was just kind of one of those tunes, like, yeah, you know, you're fighting with a chick or whatever, and, you know, kind of rock and roll 101. But a fun song, though. Definitely a fun song.
You ain't looking too pretty, baby. I love that line. I love that line.
Okay. Yeah. just, somebody's full of themselves and, whatever, and they think they got it all figured out, and just a different perception of it, But, yeah, that song you can, make it out for whatever you want it to be. So that's
Then there's a ton of great songs on the album, and I want to get into some of the other stuff as well. But I got to ask you about Up High, Down Low. I love that song. It's probably one of the better ballads I've heard in the last 10 years.
Thank you. That means a lot, man. I appreciate that. Wow, that song. It's kind of got a couple different phases to it. I know when I first presented it to the band, everybody kind of thought, well, it definitely sounds like it might have something to do with religion, because I say in heaven and in hell, this is what they sell. The song's really more about addiction, man. It has to do with being up high and down low, and these things are around us all the time. Addiction is around us all the time. If you have that type of personality, and that was more of where I was coming from on that tune.
And that's yeah, and I took it as that because drugs, alcohol, that's another song off the next album, but both of that's exactly what they produce. And you had mentioned to me at one of the shows that it was about addiction, and after careful listening to it, it's very obvious where it's coming from.
Right.
Lovers Leap. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it can be, people are codependent too. That's an addiction. There's all sorts of forms of addiction. It isn't necessarily just, substance. You know what I mean? And so that song definitely walks a couple different lines. But I like songs that are ambiguous. Like that's where you can make it for what you want it to be. You know what I mean? Ozzy did that all the time, which I loved. And it was just like, okay, what does he mean by that? And you make it your own, too, and I think that's important.
Now, come on, Ozzy or Bob Daisley?
Well, Bob Daisley, I'm sorry. You do it, Bob Daisley, right.
So I'm highly recommending, and I recommend all of our guest CDs. Definitely order Spiral Arms, Highest Society, Amazon, iTunes, the European version from Nuclear Blast. Definitely go check it out. It's money well spent, and it will hold you over until we get to the new album, which we're going to talk about now. How close is that to being done, Tim?
Man, if we could get some time in the studio, the problem has been that our studio's been just so jam packed with projects, and that's how Brad and I earn a living. So we're working and finding days that are open. In fact, I had this discussion with Craig not too long ago today, and I'm hoping by the first of the year we can have what we need wrapped up. It should be done, and then off to mixing. We're trying to figure out who we want to mix the record, and what we're going to release first. And there's a concept I have for releasing the record. I don't know if we're going to do it yet, because we do have interest from people about maybe taking the record on. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a waiting game before we know for sure how we're going to put this thing out. But it's almost done. I promise. I promise.
Well, a couple of the songs that you're doing live in the set, I'm pretty sure we could talk about without giving too much away. We already talked about Exit 63. One of the most haunting melodies I've heard in a while is Black Moon Morning. It just, you could take it as so many things. Me and Craig, have speculated on the whole, Planet X, the end, the Mayan prophecies, where, according to some guys, we have some professors, we actually, Christmas Eve this year is supposed to be the end of the Mayan calendar, or December 12th of next year. They can't really figure it out. So either this show will air after the Mayan calendar ends, or we still got another year. What was, the train of thought? What took you to the place on Black Moon Morning?
Oh, I think a lot of it was probably discussions about that, the world ending, really, is this real? I mean, it ties into some other stuff with, life besides ours, and how we, take me to your God is one of the lyrics in there, and it's like, it still kind of intertwines back into that belief in religion, and is there more, and it's really, really interesting though. I just finally watched that movie Paul. That came out. I don't know what it came out about a year ago or something like that. Great movie though. Just the concept of it. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, just you take that into just take that and throw that in the mix of things. That fucks people up. You know what I mean? That are heavily religious. I mean, that's like almost like blasphemy, right?
Oh yeah.
So, to me, it's like, okay, well, if the world's ending, I just had this, visual concept of, the world's ending and, we get picked up and taken off to another place. How cool would that be? But it's a lot of it about, the end of the world. I mean, I know we all think about that. I mean, you think about space and just everything that's out there, like what we don't know. You know what I mean? And it's pretty heavy, and I think it fits the music with Black Moon, and I think it's actually it works really well together.
Oh yeah, that's out of all the new stuff I've heard, that one really, really stuck with me for some reason. I think Brad's little hook in there is it's hooked into my brain now, and I'll tell you,
it's that complete like less is more trip. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of like what is there like 3 notes or something like that?
Yeah.
That that chime out in it. But how heavy is that, man? You know what I mean? That's cool. That's cool.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when I was leaving, Craig had to take me to the airport at like 6:30 in the morning, and you know how Craig is at 6:30 in the morning, right?
Oh yeah.
And as soon as we get in the car, and I'm like, dude, so do I get to hear Black Moon Morning and Exit 63 before I leave? He's like, fuck, I just woke up! Come on, you gotta play.
So yeah, that's the last thing I want to hear is Tim. All right.
It was the day after the Niners game. He wanted to, find out what happened to Patrick Willis during the game. But I had...
Yeah, right?
But, just those 2 songs just really have stuck in my psyche. And doing them live, oh my God. And the ending, if you've not seen Spiral yet, if you weren't one of the lucky few in Tahoe or Reno, did you do Black Moon Morning at Exit 63 when you opened for Black Label?
We only had a half hour, and we ended up playing probably the majority of the stuff off of Highest Society. Actually, we did about, I'll take that back. I think we did 3 songs off the new record. But we did not do Black Moon Morning, being that it's, 6 minutes long, 6.5 minutes long. So, we had a little bit of a time constraint to work under, and, we did do Exit 63 though, because our slot got bumped to second slot, so we got a little more time. So we're like, yeah, let's do that, and it went over fantastic. It really did. I was a little concerned, Black Label Society, it's kind of a heavier driven thing, and I know that they have piano and do things like that, which is cool. But the crowd totally got it, loved it. It was awesome, man. It was really, really cool.
Well,
glad we got to do that one.
Oh yeah. Well, the ending to Exit 63 is a piece of art in itself. If you haven't got a chance to see it yet, you gotta see it.
Thank you. That was inspired by a little old song called Layla. Derek and the Dominoes did. So you kind of get the drift. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, it's a cool outro. And we recorded that, man. We did that. The piano sound we got on the record is just so lush and awesome, and big room, sounds badass. I mean, really, really, I couldn't have asked for a better piano sound than what we got on that.
Oh no.
Very, very cool.
So Now, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, your ZZ Top tribute. What's going on with that? I know you guys have got a big show coming up New Year's Eve.
Yeah, well, we're out doing this ZZ Top tribute that Cornbread was involved in early on. With it was a little bit of a different lineup at that point in time, and I was playing drums originally, and I grew up on this stuff, so it was just like, all right, Cornbread, if I get a chance to get in there, you got to get me in, man. Pleading with them, and it worked out. And then our guitar player, very, very busy guy at the time, and he decided he needed to bow out. And, we learned all these songs. We're like, well, shit, Cornbread looks at me and just goes, well, you can play guitar. I'm like, oh, dude, that's a tall order, man, Billy Gibbons, I mean, come on, But I broke it off, did the work, got the slide out, and the band kicks ass. It's fun. We have a really, really good time doing it. And, that's kind of what it boils down to, when Craig's off doing Forbidden and, we have a little downtime, this thing works out to be a lot of fun and very cool. So we're rolling with it.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see that live. Just authentic beards and all. Come on, what more could you ask for?
Oh, yeah, well, that's it. It works out pretty good. It actually works out, I think, better now because Cornbread and our beards are probably about the same length now. And Ron looks much more like Frank Beard than I do. So I think that it's, and he's a better drummer than me, hands down. So it's like, okay, yeah, this makes total sense, So it works out great. But you know what I'm going to do, man? You got to shoot me your email, and I'll send you over some tracks. We cut some stuff about a month ago, and I'm kind of putting a little mix together, some things. I'd like to send it to you to check out.
Oh, I would definitely love to check it out. Hell, I am
You get a kick out of it. I know you would.
Oh, and I'm a huge Tim Narducci fan now. I got to tell you, Tim, I was not a Systematic fan. Not just.
That's cool.
Huh?
So you didn't like Systematic, or you weren't familiar with Systematic?
What I was familiar with, I just couldn't stand. Wasn't
really?
up.
Okay. No, that's cool.
It just wasn't up my alley. It wasn't my type. Even though I am in the same age group as everybody else in the band, believe it or not,
right.
Only a year older than Craig at that, which people don't believe. Just my tastes run more towards the classic rock stuff the older I get. And here comes along Spiral that takes the heavy shit I like with the classic shit I like, and we get a new. I mean, it's like the Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath meets the Black Crowes is my best description.
That's the perfect description. Thank you. I can't thank you. That is perfect, man. I mean, I'm like the hugest Black Crowes fan. That band has inspired me. Oh my God, just so fucking great. Especially the later their records get too. They're so deep and musical and they don't give a fuck, man. That's what I love about those guys. They just don't give a fuck. They're doing their art, and that's all that matters. And that's a great drum to be marching to. I think they're killer. But I'll get off my rant. But yeah, I think the thing about the band with those descriptions, I think that it's kind of a thing of I like using this term "play your age." You know what I mean? That's where I'm at too. That's where my head is. That's the music that moves me. Rather than trying to do, there's a lot of people, like we did a Systematic reunion in August. It was been 10 years since the first record, had been released, and you get a lot of people going, "Hey, man, so when are you guys going to do a record? When are you going to do another record? When are you going to get back together? When are you going to do a record?" Like, I'm not there, man. I mean, I love those guys. We grew up, we did a thing together that was important to a lot of people. Got my career started in this business, and what it boils down to, man, can I get in that headspace and write like that? I'd have to tell you no. I mean, that's just not where I'm at. I'm playing the music that where I'm at in my life. At 41 years old, this is what I should be playing. Music that's inspired me. Back in the day, like the Sabbath and fucking Black Crowes and just stuff we grew up on. that's where I should be. Not trying to play mallcore or do any of that other silly stuff. You know, I just, no offense, but, you know, play your age, you know.
You know, and that's really so true because, you know, play your age. And it's obvious as your influences come through. I mean, hell, you wear your influences like a sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a segue to talk about the new tattoo. Because you really do wear your influences on your sleeve. Hell, you wear them. While we were in Reno, Mark from Swamp Donkey, who, if you guys get a chance to check out Swamp Donkey, I've Googled them, and it's really hard to find any info on them. But check them out on Facebook. These guys are really incredible. But Mark from Swamp Donkey did a really, really unbelievable Abbey Road tattoo on Tim's forearm. That just, or inner arm, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the pictures now. I should know. Just really, really cool. And Tim also has the Led Zeppelin 4, all four of the symbols on his arm. That's kind of dedication, showing your roots there. When are you going to put up a picture of the healed over Abbey Road?
Oh, pretty soon. It's almost healed, man. The blue's still healing a little bit, but it's almost done. I think probably about another couple days, and I think we'll be good. But yeah, I'll have to do that, huh? I'll have to get a picture of it and put it up.
Oh yeah, because I got pictures from there to there, but not healed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'll put one up once it's fully healed, and you can check it out. See what you think. I think it looks killer, man. I think it's going to turn into a sleeve now. Yeah, the way it got left off, I'm like, oh man, I can put this here and there. You know, I got the bug again. I haven't had a tattoo since '03, I think, and I'm like, oh man. You know, you forget the pain, but you know, yeah, it's art. It's cool, definitely cool.
You did.
So it'll be the rock and roll sleeve. I've got a few more ideas. I think they're gonna look cool. So.
Oh hell, you handled the pain very well. I didn't hear any whimpering or whining or, you know.
No. Well, there was that girl getting a tattoo like once all over. I'm like, man, I better not. You know what I mean? But just kick my ass and something, you know. So I was like, oh, yeah, it better be cool.
Oh yeah. Well, we're running out of time real quickly here, Tim. Anything if people want to contact you, want more info on the band, want more info on Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, where can they go? What can they do to find out more?
Yeah, just go to Facebook. Beer Drinkers is on there. Obviously, Spiral's on there. You know, the other thing I do is I'm a producer. I produce bands. I produced Omega Wave with Craig. That's my day gig. If a band's looking for a producer or, you know, recording, and they live in the California area, it's like if they want to fly in, whatever. You know, we do killer records out here for a really affordable rate, and yeah, man. Yeah, I'm right there. Hit me up on Facebook. I respond to everybody, and you know, like making new friends. It's all good, man.
He's definitely, and he's not bullshitting. He is telling the truth. Tim is one of the nicest guys I've met in rock and roll in a long time. No pretensions, no bullshit about him. He's, what you see is what you get, and that's why I think Tim's a great human being.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Back at you, man.
Oh, all right, guys, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back. Have a great holidays. Be safe on New Year's. Don't do anything stupid. We'll be back after the first of the year with the Omega Wave Show right here on SkullRecordsRadio.com.